All right, welcome to the golf. Welcome to the Golf Coach Podcast, Harrison. How you going, man?
Good. Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Mate, I'm excited to have you on. I've had lots of golf coaches lately, and conversations can get a little bit technical, and I think it's really cool. And people always are asking from a kind of player's perspective. And I've had some really good responses when I've had Trav Smythe. You know Trav?
Oh yeah, Trevi and I play a lot of golf together. We're good buds, and I haven't spoken to Trev for a while actually, but I've been to give him a call. But Trev and I, man, we used to room together every week out there. It was awesome. So I haven't seen Trevi.
He's playing well.
He's playing good. He's every time he just seems to pop up at the right times. I notice on the schedule, it's like when he has to play well, he always seems to, go and get it done and go play some good golf. And, he's just living the life, traveling and playing all around everywhere. So, Trevi's a hard worker and he's a good player, good friend too.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He is living the life, mate. He's in Thailand for a couple of weeks now, and he's just here. And it's good to see him playing well. I caught up with him in India a few years back, Harrison, and he was struggling a bit on the Asian tour when he first got out there. I don't think the transition from amateur golf to professional golf was easy for him, and he was uncomfy. But now he just seems so comfortable out there, right?
He seems to love Asia, the Middle East, and run. It's every time I talk to him or we've chatted, it's he's always looking forward to going to places like India, Singapore, Bangladesh even. It's just these random places that you wouldn't even think have a golf tournament. He's going to go play, and he's always pumped. I mean, to me, that stuff gets old. It's fuck that. You need time. I played the Latin tour for 2 years before I got onto the Corn Ferry tour, and that was awesome. Some cool places there. Some really, really fun places, but you're playing for no money. It's tough. You're there for a reason to get off it, and it just hardens you up down there. Just it teaches you how does everything go wrong, how to make it right, and I think Trevi. I think there's a few of the places Trevi's gone and played. I think he would have learnt that for sure.
Yeah, it's. I think as well. Travis. We've listened to the episode before. He was down a few episodes for people listening, but I think when you're playing in Asia too, right, and sometimes you're playing in the States, right, you just want to be comfortable. I think at times, you want that Western kind of typical situation, a nice house, clean tap water, food that you're not going to get sick, and you kind of can get through the routines. But it's a little bit uncomfortable sometimes traveling through Asia. So did you say you played? Did you play it on the Latin America tour?
Yeah, played down in South America. But it was great. It was cool. Met a lot of good people down there. A lot of guys I played with ended up getting on the tour and coming up through that program. For me, when we made that decision to go play there, I came off the world amateur teams. I think I was top 10 in the world as an amateur. I was in the Eisenhower Cup teams. I was, I was spoon fed. I was treated like a top 10 pro in the world. When you're in all those programs and stuff, and when you're traveling and you're getting everything paid for and stuff like that. And my team was very good at understanding that we needed to. We needed to harden up. We needed to get a system going. So what the grind's really about. And for us, it was, we needed to go to a place where, how do we play well when everything's going wrong? There's no transportation. You got to Uber to the golf course. You're hitting yellow pinnacles in a net. No player dining. It was. Yeah. I look back at all that stuff now, and it's it's a great. It was a great stepping stone. I encourage a lot of people to go do I encourage a lot of people to go do routes like that, especially in golf, because even on the PGA Tour, you have a lot of things go wrong, like off the golf course. With flights and accommodation and what you name it, and you got to have some backbone to handle all that.
I reckon that's a really good way of looking at it, because I think some of the older generation who are listening to this would definitely agree with that's the difference between today's kids, right? Growing up, is that everything's spoon-fed and easy for them, and when the times get tough, they don't get tested. They come out of uni expecting to have a top-tier job, or these.
Yeah,
and you see, and there's only a few Tiger Woodses, right? Like Tiger Woods' first tournament, he took a private jet.
That's one individual. Nah, a kid's got to harden up. Now I say it all the time. Like, kids are soft as anything. Like, they got to, geez, you got everything paid for by mum and dad at universities and golf coaches and all this type of stuff, and then you're complaining that you're staying at a 4-star hotel instead of a 5-star. Like, bullshit. Like, go play in Bangladesh, go play in South America, and tell me tell me how to get out of stuff, like when things are going wrong. It's like, it's a different world now, and and I think obviously we've got a lot more access to a lot of luxuries now, at different yearly earnings of what people make. So not like it used to be, but I encourage these kids to stop sulking, go and harden up and go play golf.
But and from a golfing perspective as well, is it's a good opportunity to go to these mini tours or these tours, and also put a season together. You know what I mean? Like, actually
100%.
Put a season together, learn how to play 4-rounders consistently. It's not like, every couple of 4-rounders every couple of months. It's like, learn to put a season together, learn to play 4 rounds, learn to travel.
And just work week to week. Like, go play 4 weeks in a row. I've got a schedule coming up playing 4 in a row. In 2 different countries. It's just that's what you do in this line of work. It's your job. Like, I'm a CEO. Every golfer's a CEO. You got to go do what you got to do, and and I think, like, and to be fair, like, you actually see that a lot on the Corn Ferry. You see rookies get on the Corn Ferry tour, and they start scheduling. Like the Scotty Scheffler and Justin Thomas and these guys. Like, it's like, no. Like, dude, if you got to go play 7 weeks in a row, you go play 7 weeks in a row. Like, it's just your job is to get off that tour and get onto the biggest tour. So you put the hard yards in now. Hopefully, one day you're in a position where you can go schedule, and I'm still kind of on that little. I'm like right in between that on that train track right now. I'm in a position where it's like we can kind of schedule, but I still, I've got to earn my way into the majors. I've got to earn my way into the big tournaments. I've still got to earn that category. So in the end of the day, it's like, if I've got to go play, I've got to go play.
Yeah, I get you. I get you. And it's one of the things you hear a lot about when someone wins early in the year who, may not have been in that position prior. And it's kind of like they get the opportunity to map out their year pretty much straight away. Because of on the PGA Tour, you see, like, because they got obviously masters, players, and you can see that they can get that done. But up until something like that happens early in the season, you're just signing up, right? And just kind of
pretty much. I mean, and you also see the schedule changes for a lot with guys. Like, you see, we're probably going to see a lot of it this year too on tour, where you get guys who play. They might go play a bunch early and then take time off in the middle, depending on where they are. And then you get some guys who I saw a number of guys had a bit more of a quieter earlier season, and they started picking up weeks later on. It all changes, and like, and everyone's goals change too, like you see, like, you get a guy that goes and wins 3 times in the next, 6-7 weeks. Like, that guy's now goal has completely changed on, I'm going to try and win the FedEx Cup. And, I'm going to schedule a little bit more. I might take this time off and play less around the majors. And then I might play more at the back end of the season going into the playoffs. So I'm fresh and ready to go. But then you get a guy like Lucas Glover, last year. He played everything. He played everything leading in. And then he won Wyndham and then won the FedEx St. Jude. Like, it was incredible. Like, it awesome. It changes in the blink of an eye, and it's just and you got to make that gamble. You got to make it is gambling. You are, in the end of the day, we're all professional gamblers, and we're gambling against our own ability to where we can play our best at.
Yeah, I understand that. Hey, but let's yes. You know what? I was just talking to one of my players about this yesterday. Literally about this yesterday. He was talking about how certain courses, he was frustrated with his driver because of some certain courses he can't play well at. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I said, everyone in the world has their preferences of golf courses, like what they're suited to.
Absolutely.
And I said, I know you're a little bit frustrated with this, but you smash it, 123 mile an hour. Like it's going to come back. Don't worry about it, but don't think that you have to become this kind of fairway finding guru. Let's just dominate the courses that you can play well at. So it's like funny. I just had this conversation literally just yesterday. Hey, but tell me, let's talk about what's just happened recently. Like, I was talking to my friends at the gym, right, watching you play a lot. We've got all the TV screens at the gym, and obviously anyone's got a golf question, right, they come talk to me. Like, what do you keep looking at the screen for? What do you keep looking at the screen for? I was like, mate, this guy Harrison, I said, he's playing in PGA Tour, whatever you want to call it, Q School, final round. And I said, this is probably, in my opinion, like the mentally toughest tournament in the world, right? Like, to go watch people playing, because you don't get your result, right? Like, you're literally playing for it. And you went and just recently won. Is it called PGA Tour Q School? Is that what you call it?
Yeah, it's just a different. I mean, it's the first year the tour's gone back to Q School, because back in the day they used to do it, and I think it was 25 guys got their cards, or might have been more. And then outside that got full. I think it might have been the Nike Tour or the Nationwide Tour at that time, and then it was broken down. And then obviously they moved away from that system and went into the Corn Ferry Tour way. And at the time, I think obviously it was still Nationwide or Web.com and all that type of stuff. So it was, and they went away from that system, and now they're starting to try to come back a little bit with that. And it was a weird one, because it's the first time in a while where guys lost their jobs but hadn't lost their jobs playing. Back in the day, it was like, if you're a Q School, you didn't have a job. Like, you were, you were paying up for your job. It was very stressful. I've done a few of them, and I hope the one I did recently was the last one I ever have to do. But there's never guarantees in life. But it's just it was a really weird week, because you had so many different scenarios with guys. You had guys like me who, I didn't have a year I wanted last year on the PGA Tour. Came back. I have job security. I had guaranteed starts out there this year, and I'm playing for new status. But it's like, I have starts, so it's like okay, like, I can treat it two different ways here. I can treat it as a training week and not care, or I can really free it up and let it go and work on some new things that I was working on previously and put that to test under pressure. And that's what we did. So, but then you had guys that were just missed out on their PGA Tour cards through the Corn Ferry Tour. Now they've got an opportunity to play their way onto the PGA Tour, but they've got job security. They've got the full status on the Corn Ferry Tour. So, you had those guys. Then you had the mini tour guys who had nothing.
Which one got in, right?
And I think a couple ended up getting in. I mean, and the cool thing is too, like, the guys that got their cards out of that, they don't deserve they deserve that as much as anyone. Like they're the nicest guys, and they're really humble guys, and I think the right people behind obviously me who got their cards that week just on the stories. And you had a guy like I think Hayden Springer who sadly he lost his little one recently. What a story. I mean, the guy has been playing mini tours for so long and lost his daughter, and obviously he's not in they've never been in a amazing financial position, and then you get another hurdle like that, and then all of a sudden it's like the universe just owed him one.
I agree.
Just like, and that's what's like really really cool. And to be fair, like when you sit back and look at Q School, like Q School does create stories like that.
Yes.
Where a year playing on the Corn Ferry Tour, it's cutthroat in so many different ways because it rewards consistency, but also it separates the top guys from the rest of the pack. Like, and not everyone. Like, there's a lot of guys still on that tour that I'm very shocked they're still there. I think they should be playing on the biggest tour in the world. But then, but that will take care of itself, I think. And the Corn Ferry Tour has proven to do that. Like, you look at all the experienced guys that they eventually just get there. A perfect name like that, like Kevin Doherty. Like, Kevin Doherty's great guy. I played a lot of golf with him when I was on the Corn Ferry Tour, and he kept finishing like 26 to like 30, 40 every single year. Like, it was ridiculous. And it's like, how is this guy not on the PGA Tour? Yeah. And now he's got his card. Like, he went and did it and got his card moved up. So, this is going to be his rookie year. The Corn Ferry Tour creates that. The financial stability on the Corn Ferry Tour is obviously significantly better than the mini tour guys. So the mini tour guys had a lot going on, and you could tell. Like, I was kind of chilling, with my caddy. We're just going to the range, doing our stuff. And my caddy setting up my drills. I'm just running through the motion, and you could see, like, me too, like, there was some stress. Like I saw some guys, they just headphones in, just don't want anything to bargain with you. Even the guys I played with, they didn't want anything to like, they didn't really start really talking to me out there until I separated. It was kind of like I felt, it's like, I was going to keep playing well and get this done. But yeah, that first 9, like, I even said to Davey, I was like, man, these guys are a little different than start of the week. They're a little bit more zoned in, and then you respect that. I mean, it's like, I never worry about all that. If someone wants to talk, someone wants to talk. If they don't, they don't. I mean, that's just the nature of what we do, I guess.
So what was that? Mate, I understand. And the stressful moments. Do you think taking that approach to the way that you took that tournament, is there a lot to learn in that, you reckon, for you moving forward?
Oh, 100%. Like, I just started working with a new sports psychologist right before Q School. Josh Nicholas. He's awesome. And, his kind of theory and his work and what he talks about is, a lot of the stuff we talk about is, being okay with failure, being like accepting failure, because you are going to fail. You're gonna mess up nearly every time. It's just the game. Like, if I go win once in a year on the PGA Tour, you've had more off weeks than good weeks. But would you consider that a good year? Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a big margin, and Josh's philosophy is what we're working on and stuff like that is, being a little bit more in a relationship with failure. And we really worked hard on that in probably about 3 weeks leading up to Q School. Like, I literally just started working with Joshy after RSM. last year, and and it just working on these little 1% things and all this type of stuff. It just it's kind of like, it's okay, man. Like, let's go play golf. And I felt a lot calmer, and we did a couple other things I worked on with my coach as well that week. Physically in the game, but on the mental side, I really got to see how I could perform being mentally strong that week. And that's something that you got to draw off, and it's something that's like, okay, well, like I know what I can do if I'm really mentally on, and I'm doing the right things and be patient with it. So when it's not going right, how do we got to be? And and that's the next challenge. When you go and play a 4 or 5 week stretch in a row, which I've done multiple times, there's weeks where you just do not want to be anywhere near a golf course. You just but you got to find a way. You got to find that way. And I think going forward mentally, that was a huge week for us to build off the mental toughness side of the game. It's it really is important. It's probably, I've always been told how it's all mental, 90% mental, all this stuff. Like, some of it's true, some of it's bullshit, but like that week really showed me how you got to be mentally strong. Like you have to be sharp. You got to be switched on and roll with those punches out there.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you there. But what I also would kind of add to that from my perspective is that you got to also find out when you optimize your performance, what does that mental environment look like? You know what I mean? So like some people like Tiger's all about intensity, right? He wants to be as intense as possible, and he knows that he works well. What's been great with your Q School there is that, and even going into the last round and shooting like that cheeky 4 under 67, right, in that situation, it's like you've also quantified that not only is the physical stuff you're doing with Pato well, but also the mental stuff you're doing, you've quantified it and you can believe in it and you've built trust in it. And that's going to be fucking incredible because you've got that blueprint to like, when you go away, what you can come back to. And how it works.
Like you just, 100%, you seem to, like your process stands out more to you, and like you talked about, like Tiger was all, fist bumps, going nuts. Like, that was Tiger. I mean, we're not going to see another Tiger again. I mean, every kid wants to, be a Tiger. I mean, that's what he's created in his game. But it took me a long time, and I'm starting to believe a few weeks ago was really understanding now where, like which railroad do I play my best in? Am I fiery up and I'm moving around quickly, or am I, just calm, collected, just stick to my process and go? And it's taken me some time to figure that out. And now, like I won on the Corn Ferry Tour a couple of years back in that same mindset. I just didn't let anything worry me. It's like, whatever. And then I went back into, we're on the PGA Tour, let's go. And then, you fluctuate a little, and then, you go to Q School and I go back into that calm stage and I go play well. So it's like I'm really starting to see the patterning now of when I'm calm and when I'm sticking to my process, and I seem to play my best golf. It's free, it's not tight, it's just, I enjoy the game more. I love the challenge more out there. Like, like if you're mentally beating yourself up over 5 weeks straight, of course you're gonna hate the game.
But also, like, everyone listening to this, Harrison, like from the recreational golfer, we have a lot of coaches listen, like a lot of tournament players. From the recreational golfer all the way through the tournament player, always just wants to play as good as they do when they play 9 holes, not caring. You know what I mean? Like,
100%. Why do you think the second putt always goes in? Why do you think the provisional always goes straight? It's the same thing. It's the not care factor. That's what it is. It's like
yeah. And we got to get really good at one of the easiest lines that I kind of just sometimes just throw around probably too much, right? Is that I want every single person to try their hardest but not care about the result and not be attached to the result. So like, and people are like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Well, like, try your hardest, be addicted to the process, do the best process possible. Don't judge the result, judge the process. And if you've gone in there with a shitty mental state and you're uptight, well, you can start to work out that there's no wonder that the end result wasn't good, because I was not in an optimized state to even fucking play well at all. And it's the same thing as doing like public speaking. You can do your speech at home. Like if I just talk at seminars and stuff, and I can just nail it. You know what I mean? Like nail my presentation, get up there on the stage, and fucking knees start shaking. I need to take a piss, and I'm shitting myself, and it's nowhere near as good. It's nowhere near as good. But yeah, I understand that,
and it's recognizing it too. And that's the thing. It's really paying attention to yourself mentally, where okay, like swing's getting tighter, or this is feeling tighter because I'm feeling this pressure. I'm feeling and I've said to a number of people, like leading a golf tournament is the same pressure as being on a cut line. It's just two different scenarios. Like it's not like a guy who's one shot back with 9 holes to play is trying to get a job on the weekend. A guy who's one shot back or tied for the lead is trying not to lose a golf tournament. So it's the same result and the same pressure of the outcome if not performed. So it's one of those things where both those players feel, and the top guys, the reason why they're so consistently, because they recognize that. They recognize when they've got their blueprint and their platform to know when, okay, I'm feeling this, I'm going to play this way. I'm going to tone it back. It's just we're just going to play one shot. We're going to do. It's just this flow of just this flow of just like consistent mental toughness, you could say. And it's just that it's learning that and you see it. I mean, like even before Q School last week or the other week, wherever, last year, you could say now. I was like, I wasn't really thinking it, but like on the range, I had a little quicker warm up than what I normally do. My caddy's like, why don't we just chill out for a bit, man? You're already on your 3 wood, and we've been here for 10 minutes. Like, it's like. It's little things like that, and it's just recognizing. It's being able to switch that brain on and just go, okay, cool, all right, I'm just going to do me now and go from there.
Do you think that this working with this new sports psych, and it's not so much as well like, well, the question I'm asking you is that I understand that your process is going to be better on the golf course, but do you think it'll help you a lot that if you have a tournament week where it doesn't go your way, that you won't be kind of carrying that baggage into the next week?
100%. Just on the fact that I feel like now I've got 2 systems. I've got a process system for my technical side that Ben and Mark have worked with me from since I was a kid. And then I've got now a mental blueprint and a checklist that we got 2 systems now that we can pick pieces off and draw it into one. And I feel that by having the 2, it feels to me, it just, when things aren't, and I haven't experienced this yet, obviously, because I've just started working, I just started working with Josh, and we won 3 weeks later, but, but I feel I see the vision going forward when we do have those off weeks and we do have that, like, it's going to be easier to get back into the simple process, not a hard process. Like it's a simple process of simplifying everything, because in the end of the day, professional golf is just about opportunities. It's just all it is if I can give myself the most opportunities over 72 holes, it's about practice to compromise on those, and we see where we finish at the end of the week. in the end of the day. And being able to come back to that blueprint, it helps, you know. And no, I'm excited. I've really, he's a great guy, Josh. Really knowledgeable in what you know, what he likes to talk about and his philosophies and stuff. And a lot of his philosophies are just very normal thinking, you know. And it's great. I'm looking forward to it.
So that's awesome. It's great. I think that's a good little insight too, you know. It's a really good insight. And one thing as well, Harrison, like I talk to people about, you know, difference. Like I say to them, my 15 handicappers to my mini tour guys or whatever, it's the same fucking problems going on. Yeah. It's just a bit more on the line, you know. Like,
Benno coaches, like I've seen some swing footage he sent me of 10, 12 handicappers who are technically in better spots than I am. Like, you know, like I got back from Benno, we were doing some work the other day or the other week, sorry, and I'm really trying to level out my swing. And, you know, my bad habit is I get very steep and across the line on it. And when you play in the wind, that forces that. And so we're just trying to level out, get a little underneath. So right now I feel like I'm Rory. Right now I feel like a little bit dropping it underneath the inside deep. And, you know, like I'm swinging out to the right a little bit and the hands have got to learn not to flip. It's a lot sharper now and it's a lot better. But that first week, you know, I would send video footage to Ben. I'm like, please tell me this is where we need it, because I can't swing it anymore in the inside. Like I can't get there. And he'll send me a video of like the 12 handicap of these coaches. He's like, that's where I want you. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Like I'm a touring professional, and he swings it better than he can get it in a better position than I can. But that's the uniqueness of this game, isn't it? It's just
and people don't understand that. Like I had a beginner golfer on the weekend, and like I'm going to say newbie golfer, right? Only plays very minimal stuff, but he's an athlete, right? Hits his 6-iron, carries it like in meters about 165, 170 meters.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, and his path 0, his face is 0. They always fall down. I said, dude, you just hit the most perfect shot.
Yeah, he's neutral.
And I was like, but then the next one's obviously not that great, right? I'm like, it's there. You know, it's like, I said, I've got many players who would love to hit that golf shot. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, dude, that was fucking perfect. You know, we just need to kind of get that going more. What is it like being, so I do a lot of online coaching myself, Harrison. Like I work with a lot of my students online. What's it like working with Ben, your main coach, right? Ben online.
Yeah. Like look, it's awesome. I mean, Ben's just such a phenomenal golf coach, and you know, so simple. You know, Mark really taught Benno well. Both the Patos are really knowledgeable and understandable of the golf swing and the game itself. It's been tough a little bit, you know, online. Just there's something about your coach there that's just. Like, you know, you could be hitting a snap hook, and you see it on the PGA Tour all the time. You'll watch guys skank it on the range, and the golf coaches will be, that's good. And the player believes it. Like, there's a level of belief that just ticks in with a player when their coach is physically there and says, I like that. Mate, I'm telling you. Like, I've seen it week in to week out. Like, I've seen some of the world's best golfers hit some of the worst golf shots in front of coaches, and the coaches are like, I like that. And, you know, which to the member would be like, I'm paying money to go see this, but then you'll go watch the guy shoot 65 and do it easy. But, you know, I think going forward, it's great to have Ben and the family over last year. We felt like we got really sharp, did some good work. You know, having him early in this season this year, we've been doing a lot of, like I call it a lot of kid work. That's what we've been kind of talking. Like Benno's been trying to get me back to the way I used to swing it, a little bit like a 12, 15-year-old kid. We're free and on plane, and so but it was hard work to get there. And to have him for 2 weeks over here. You know, just tidying all that up There's something like I said, that belief. Like once you hear that green light from your coach, for some reason it just something goes off in your brain. Cat, sorry, there's a cat coming. And then so like there's that belief that just ticks in, and you just like, let's go, like it's there, like it's about getting in the hole. And like that's where I'm really looking forward to, and to Benno coming over, and I just think we're just such a great team. I believe, honestly, if I am lucky enough to go and really have a huge career and win massive tournaments and stuff like that, I'd definitely be with him. Just because he just knows my game, and we both know each. We're both like brothers. I mean, it's just they're like my second family.
And I think people have got to be careful as well. I think you've made a really good decision to stick with your coach, because we've seen successes of we look at, and you can do it in today's day and age. Like back in the day when Aaron Baddeley had to go over, right? He went over and got a new coach, because I even talked to Greg Chalmers, right? He was only allowed to call his family on a Sunday at the golf tournament. They had phones there for the professionals to use for 15 minutes. Like there was no mobiles, there was nothing.
That's wild. It's wild, isn't it?
So you had to kind of get a new coach when you went over back in the day, where today you look at the successful other, like Australian golfers like yourself, is, Cam Smith, Lucas Herbert, stuck with their coaches, right?
I mean, Minwoo's had Richie,
of course,
since he was a kid. Like is the recipe, the recipes that work for a reason, right?
Yes, yes.
No, that's what I was just gonna say. Like there's nothing worse. I just think there's nothing worse when you see a player searching. I especially a good player, and you do see it. I've seen it a lot. Like it just because you have a tough time doesn't mean that the system isn't working. Okay, some changes need to be addressed. I'm not saying you got to stick what you're doing, but you see so many times, like I've seen guys, really stick well and have great results with a coach, and then they funnel off a little bit, and then all of a sudden they feel like they've got to change coach, and then they change patterning and all this type of stuff, and it's like, man, that's not you, man. Like that's not your player, and like. Yeah, and I've seen that a lot, and like I think that like if you got a golf coach that understands you as not only as a player but a person, and can read your game and you can read theirs on the same, like it's just about getting it better and better and better and better, and that's the advice I've been given by. Bads has said the same thing to me. Who else has said that? Like Mark Hensby has said, man, do not change what you're doing. Like you got there for a reason. You keep getting better.
Yeah. Get better with what you got, right? There's nothing wrong with continuing to keep doing the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's because you can just get better in the same thing. Like Grant and Cam have done the same thing their whole career. Their swing technique has never changed. Their swing technique work. Every time Grant goes to see Cam, he just extends his right arm out a bit more.
Yeah,
that's all he does.
That's that's what like when I was in Golf Australia and all that type of stuff, man. Like it used to do my freaking head in. They used to get me on the biomechanics bullshit and all this crap, right? And like it just wasn't me as a player. Yeah. Like I appreciate the resources when, but in the end of the day, I work with Ben and Mark Patterson. Yeah, like those guys are there to get me to where I want to get to. Yeah, and there's no right or wrong, but from a player's point of view, biomechanics and all that technical bullshit was not for me. I just could not play golf from there. I just lost feel for it, and I'm not knocking the system on that. I know a bunch of guys who it's made them wonderful players, and all that. But for me, once I had to really just start believing in our system, what my coach is doing and what we're doing, like that's when I saw my game start going to different levels. Like I learned how to win on the secondary tour and go from there, and that's my 2 cents. And I mean, I'm not here to offend anyone, but in the same time, I don't care. It's more the fact of like, for young kids who are listening and stuff like that, don't let anyone go change who you are when you have a good system. When you got a coach that's working his butt off and he's doing everything he can because he or she knows your game, you don't need to go search. You don't need to. You just get better and better and better at what you're doing.
I tell you a good example that Harrison, right, recently, of someone who stayed committed was Jordan Spieth, right? Like, when he was struggling for a couple of years there, and when I mean struggling, still on the PGA Tour and still like keeping his card, but he went from doing some incredible things to not doing some incredible things, like just playing, just as another member of the PGA Tour. And he's stuck hard with Cameron McCormick. It would have been easy for him to jump around, but he's stuck hard. But and there's one other thing there as well, Harrison, that you make good point, is that I was talking to one of my students the other day who's just come back to me, and I was talking to him and I said to him, what are we going to do differently this time? And I said to him, have you understood how you best learn? Because he always asked me lots of questions, Harrison. He was always like, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about this? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? And I remember
they're tricky to teach, man, because that's the keys to our recipes for searching. Like,
he's a good player.
And it's good. I mean, it's great that he asks questions, but my coach has a few kids like that, and it's like, kids, like, go play. You don't need to know that. Like, it's all good. Like, go figure out how to shoot 68.
and exactly. And then I said to him, like, have you figured out that you don't need to know everything to play good golf? And I always played a straight back to him, right? Like, just straight back. Poof, poof, poof. Just keep doing this, keep doing that. That's just answering his questions for him. And he just kept wanting more. And I was like, well, if you want the detailed analysis, I can give it to you, but I don't know if it's going to be optimizing you. And anyways, I end up doing it, come back, and now he just goes, Toby, just tell me what to do. I was playing my best golf when you were doing that. And I was like, okay, great. Good. We found out what works, because when you were talking there about biomechanics, right? Some people are into the data, right? Like a Bryson, or
100%.
But once again, mental approach. How do you got to quantify it, work out which way best kind of optimizes you. And just because there's always fancy new toys and resources in a situation doesn't mean you have to jump all on them, right? And
100%. A lot of the guys on tour. A lot of guys on tour have a lot of old equipment in their bags. They don't necessarily play a lot of the new stuff. Why? Because it's not performing the same as some of the old stuff. And in the end of the day, this is our livelihood. This is how we pay our bills. And if that's not, like, I've got a 2-iron Rapture that they discontinued. I've got 5 heads of it in backups because I love that club. I could not get anything that hit the exact number that I wanted, that came out exactly the way I wanted. It's the most perfect club for me. And it's the same with coaching and stuff, like with the biomechanics and all that type of stuff. Like, there's so many players, and I can go down the list of players who that is significantly helped and turned into unbelievable athletes and players. A guy like me, if you want me to go pack shelves at a supermarket, get me on biomechanics. Because that stuff is fucking hopeless for me. That's just the way it is. It's in my DNA. It's just I don't see the game under a machine. I see the game as an athlete. Like, golfers are athletes, and the perfect example. To anyone that's listening right now, that at Q School, and this is a true fact, that I actually technically swung at the worst all year on the technical point of view. And we went and played really, really nice and ended up winning. But I was so technically steep and down and across the line, and I was just... But the great thing is, my coach, like Benno, was so disciplined to work on my feels, to level that out, but not get me prepared. Sorry, to get me prepared to go compete my best and not worry and start digging deep into something that we can still play well with. Yeah, and cool. I didn't realize, like, I'll be on the phone to Benno, he'd be like, hey, you swinging it? I'll be like, I'm hitting it good. It's going pretty straight, little cut. I feel like I've hit a couple of pull cuts, but it's all right. Oh, yeah, but you swing and look all right. Okay, cool. And the moment I got back home after Florida, he sent me, like, the videos. He goes, that is fucking terrible. Like, we need to get you here. Yeah. And I was like, that's incredible. But that's just the game. Like, it's just... It really, really isn't. And now we're working on our stuff where we need to get to and what we got to do. But yeah, so like this.
Right information at the right time and order of implementation as well.
I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised in a situation like that. If I didn't have Benno like as a coach, someone would try to change me on the golf on that range. Someone would.
Interesting.
And that's the trick, and it's like, it goes back to like, some junior golf and stuff like that. Like, I think the best thing for junior golf is, especially in Australia, we've gotten a lot better at since when I was a kid. But compared to the US, we have such great junior tournaments and programs in Australia where the kids have got so much to play in. And it's about like, teaching these kids to free up and play and go shoot your 85 and be pissed.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like that's cool. Like go and fail. Go learn to fail and get better and a little bit better and a little bit better, a little bit better. And as you get bigger and stronger, because kids' bodies change all the time, and then you start working on the mechanics and the technical side and all that type of stuff,
Mate, yeah. Man, I've seen, methods like that. Well, mate, even Butch Harmon the other day.
How many kids you got? You got a bunch of kids, right? You got how many? I thought I saw you. Yeah, you're teaching about.
I teach a lot of kids. I teach a lot of good kids online. Like I teach the number 2 16-year-old in Ireland. So I teach.
That's where I thought. I knew you had someone overseas somewhere.
I've got a lot of kind of overseas good kids and stuff like that, and I teach a few in the area here. I teach most of like the trainees and the young pros and stuff around here as well. I'm 2 hours south of Sydney, but the one thing I kind of wanted to talk to you about there, but you're talking about playing, right, was Butch Harmon recently when he took Ricky Fowler out for a game of golf and he made him play off the Reds. And
it's a great thing. I do that. Yeah. I do that quite a lot.
Interesting. And what do you like about that? Can you share the listeners about that?
Gets you sharp. So I'm going to give you some stats. I got my book here, my practice journal, right? So when we debriefed after RSM, we went through, the great thing is the PGA Tour, we have a great resource where there's a statistic analysis where basically there's a stat on every shot you hit out there. Like every shot you hit on the PGA Tour is digitally camera recorded, whatever the science nerds pronounce it. Everything is recorded. Like the squirrel that runs across the fairway, recorded. Right? It's just ridiculous how much technology is out on the tour.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So we get reports, and we got all these reports, and it was like my caddy sent it to me, and we like, okay, like let's really. Like, I took about 4 or 5 days off really diving deep into why are we in this 126 to 150 code? Where was this game not where it needed to be? And going back to that, there's obviously a number of different stats that we needed to improve, but my average from 150 yards to 100 yards this year, my dispersion average is 53 feet. That's pretty shit.
Yeah.
So
what's tour average?
Like it put it. Tour average was 26 to 28 feet. That was kind of middle of the pack. So the top guys were averaging between 20 to 18 feet. So So when we looked, and I put in perspective. So, my fiance and I, we just bought a new house, and like we're going through the dimensions, it's getting built and all that. So we've got 40 feet of backyard to work with from the back of the house to the fence, and we've got 70 width in diameter. Benno and I, when we were talking about it, is like, you play on the PGA Tour from 150 yards in, you were barely even hitting your own fucking backyard.
That's
so, and I'm not offended by that. I think it's a great tool to have because it goes really cool. Like, because you clearly go, man, like constructive criticism is awesome because you look at it and go, wow, I have to do this. So what we did, we came up with a bit of a practice plan to move this dispersion in. So we started practicing, I do, and this is a great game that you, if you want to do with, your students and stuff like that. So we play, and this is a part of this, what I work with Josh, is we work on the 70% fail. So our goal in practice is to fail 70% that day. So if I'm succeeding 30%, I've achieved because I want to get comfortable with failing. So what we did is to get that dispersion in, we do a game. So I play 6 holes and I do 6 balls. And my goal is I've got to get 3 balls inside 8 feet to go to the next hole. And you stay there, and it's a random number. So you just, I don't know what it is, zap it, get a number. And it's just about, it's away from TrackMan, it's away from quad. It's just, you got a number, you want to see the shot, and then go from there. And then we added a couple of other little things too, like I play a conversion game. So then I'll do the same kind of thing, random yardages. And I'll do 3 shots, but I've got to convert 2 out of 3 to go to the next hole. So like, let's say, 80 yards. Let's say we've just got 80 meters, 80 yards, whatever you want to call it, 80. And I go bang, one's 8 feet, bang, one's 7 feet, bang, one's 15. I've got to make 2 parts out of that to be able to go to the next hole. If I miss 2 and make 1, I've got to go back and do it again and figure out how to get, So we've started working like that. And we've started, adding things like that. And but going back, I know I dragged on a little bit there with that, but
that's all right. No,
with Butch and Ricky about the red tees. It's funny enough. This is basically a lot of that work that I'm really trying hard. Is a lot off those ladies' tees, those red tees. Play it as short as we can get it and learn to go low from there.
Yeah, and what I like what you're saying there about between 100 to 150 yards there is that. And the games you're playing, it sounds childlike. You know what I mean? Like we're playing with kids. And I talked to my friend Zane Scotland, who's a golf coach in the UK, and I've spoken to him about. He says that as soon as we turn pro, our practice changes. He said, like when we were kids,
100%.
We just, even at big tournaments, we hung out around the chipping green and putting greens and went and played 9-hole matches for a Mars bar. It's kind of like what you just did, right? That's how you got better. Very rarely were we range rats as kids. And then we turn pro, and all of a sudden we've got to be banging balls, we've got to have the TrackMan there, we've got to be finding out our numbers, we've got to be doing this.
Yeah.
And what you've created there with Benny is kind of like recreating those days of running around Avondale as a kid and trying to shoot a number.
Yeah, make it fun. Like and that's the thing. It's quality, not quantity. And I feel if I can I would rather have a 5-hour day of hard, failing, quality, deep work than have a 8-hour day of 3 hours of bullshit.
Yeah,
I that's where. Prior to the PGA Tour, a lot of my practice was 3 hours of bullshit.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's just, and 3 hours of bullshit might be, just simple stuff. Like it might be just chatting to just playing shots that you won't really see out there, and all these like little tiny things. And we now that a year out there, you can kind of see how these top guys really, really train and get ready to go compete.
And I think they understand what what works for them as well, and they don't veer away from it. But one thing to add to your practicing before I ask you next question is I'm very big on measuring, Harrison. So like measuring.
Yeah.
And I don't mean about TrackMan measuring or GC Quad, which I don't give golf lessons.
Journaling, like journaling and stuff. Yeah.
Journaling, and I had Craig Dixon on, who I do some work with, Draw More Circles. So Draw More Circles, that statistics app. It's got like AI in it, and you lodge your practice in there. So we do like 5-ball chipping tests, right? So we have a controlled environment as much as possible of 5 balls from 5 different sections, and your third ball is your baseline, right? So your third ball is your average because it's the middle one. And that way, when you talk about practice, is that my elite players who follow the program will go to the short game area, hit 5 shots from each individual spot, and just kind of work out where they are. They kind of measure it.
Yeah.
Go, okay, great. I'm actually in a pretty good spot. I don't need to be fucking hitting chip shots for the next 3 hours. I'm actually pretty well in a good spot here. So what I can be doing is go check something else out. Go do my ladder drills, or go do some driving, and hang on, there's the weakness. There's something that needs a bit of a technical attention today because you've measured it in your practice. Take it to the coach. I've measured everything. My driving's off the planet. Let's get it sorted. Because what I like about measuring your practice is, before I let you go, is you can control the environment. So the statistics that you got there from the PGA Tour is fantastic, but also a lot of the time as well is that each individual one of those shots are so fucking different. Like I use the example of Victor Hovland when he won, middle to end of last year. His last hole, 72nd hole, ball was wedged up against the side of the first cut in the fairway. Pin was tucked back left, and there's wind off the left. He's leading the tournament, and he's hit this 8-iron in there, like fucking beautiful shot to like 25 feet, right, or whatever.
That's as good as you could do, Yeah,
but you can't measure that 8-iron alongside one on a Thursday morning 100%. From the middle of the fairway and a pin in the middle of the green, because everything's different. So I like what you're lodging.
100%. Yeah, that's why I journal. I like to journal my practice because there's a lot of misleading stats. Like, there's a lot of stats there. Stats can sometimes be very hurtful for players. Stats are an amazing tool in the right system. Like for example, perfect example. Like I've had weeks where I've statistically wedged and putted bad, but really I was putting from tough spots and not out of the fairway. So does that stat mean, for that stat to improve, I probably needed to drive it better that day, there's so many different components to so many different levels of, sometimes, you go play in Europe, you get on the wrong side of the draw over there and stuff like that. Sometimes shooting 1 under par, even par, and 6 under, 7 under leading is a good afternoon of golf. Like go out in there in the morning in the calmer conditions and go tear it up. It's just sometimes like the environment doesn't allow you to benchmark yourself with the stat. It's just it's an outdoor sport. And that's why I like to journal, because the reason why I like to journal is you're seeing results in so many different days, conditions, feels. You've had different sleeps, you've had different meals, you've different times of the day, the golf course has been different pins. So for me, it's like I know that if I'm getting ready to go play and I'm doing a good, say, 2 weeks every day of really good, hard, smart, quality practice, and I'm seeing these averages in here, you can throw out whatever conditions you want, because I'm climatized to. I can. You just give me that number, I'm ready to go. I like it. And that's what I'm a huge. I used to always be a bit naive and bullshit. Why would you write it down? You're never gonna go. But it's funny, as I've gotten older, and I'm old. I'm not all this shit. I don't understand stats in the computer and all that. I'm old school. I like a book and write it down, and something about the pages, you're going through it. I'm on the road. I'm going through my journal book all the time. I'm going through past stats. Like I'm out practicing. Like, you know, the other day I was at West Haven doing hitting some balls in the academy, and I'm like going through the pages, like looking, oh yeah, you know, this time I was like this stat here from, you know, this yardage, this is where I struggled. I want to, you know, I need to fill this, whatever it may be, you know. It's something about that. It's just, it's unique, you know.
I'm a big journaler. Hey, tell me, I saw that you were on that, is it the Netflix show, The Turn? How did that come about, and what was that experience like?
Yeah, like the turn was a really cool experience. It was fun. You know, I think they did a really good job on, because the thing is, the Netflix stuff was so based around the top guys. I mean, you know, there's 10% of guys on the PGA Tour that are living like a Hollywood movie star. You know, you know, the rest, like, don't get me wrong, no one on the PGA Tour, you're not struggling, but the process is a struggle. Like, you know, like it's like Rory McIlroy missing a cut is a lot less penalising than, you know, Harrison Endycott going missing a cut. Like, you know, that's just the way it is. But until I get to a level like that, you know, so it was great that the turn went into the ropes a little bit of guys who were trying to fight for tour cards, fighting cut lines, you know, even just some of the off-course stuff too that they did as well with guys, like just preparing for a round, post round, all that type of stuff, like where, you know, I think a lot of people just don't get to see from the rest of the tour. And it's like I've said to a couple of juniors before, like when I was at Avondale, like you know, Avondale's a very remarkable place, as in the kids there talk about spoiled. A lot of successful people with kids, and the kids don't have to worry about money. You know, like there's times where I've heard the kids turn around and, you know, I'm going on holidays to the US, and I'm going to a US Open, I'm going to a Masters and stuff like that. I'm like, geez, like, I was lucky to have cable TV in Australia. I was like, but you know, like I said to him, when you go to these tournaments, go watch your heroes, go watch those guys, but go watch a guy trying to make a cut on a number. Like, go watch a guy who's 5 over through 9 on a Thursday. Go watch that guy. Because that's what the tour is about. Like that's what professional golf is. Professional golf is not, you know, winning 5-6 times a year. It's an amazing part of professional golf, and that's something I'd love to do, and a handful of players have ever done. But the rest of the what professional golf really is cancelled flights, hotel bookings that says on your reservation you got a room but you don't, you know, weather delays that affects practice, you're 2 over through 9, you know, all these tiny little outside influences that TV does not show you. Like TV is only there to air those big guys, and the turn just did a really good job, and it was fun to be a part of, to be able to, you know, kind of share the grind of it, you know.
Did you watch yourself?
Not really. I saw snippets. I get a bit weird. Actually, one of the snippets I saw was a mate. He was watching it on TV, and it was I didn't even really. I couldn't remember they were doing it, but it was me in the Colt plunge at Sanderson. I was focused on a bit of recovery and stuff like that, and he's recording it on the TV, and I was like, oh fuck, out of all things to record, you have to record that.
That's all right.
But
it was just you walking into the locker room. I watched it last night. I was just going to say, if you did watch it, is there anything that you learnt from kind of watching yourself doing it on there?
Yeah, I don't. I would have to give it a proper watch. You know, it's one of those. It's a bit weird. Like it's cool seeing yourself on TV and stuff like that. I'm not arguing that, but you know, I don't come home. It's like Like when I came home from Q School and stuff like that, they're recording from Q School. I'm like, I'm not going to sit there and turn it on and watch me play on TV. People will think I'm an absolute flog. But
yeah, it's interesting. But there could be something to learn in it. But I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
But I think the team was great. The filming team was great. Like I'm a big, as we all are in Australia, this big coffee snob. So, it was cool. So the guys, for a thank you, the media team bought me, some coffee beans and stuff like that. Nice. Like, it was cool. Like, bought my caddy some stuff too. My caddy's a big coffee drinker as well. So, looked after him. So they were really, really good. It was a lot of fun working with them. I don't know what they're going to do this year. I asked a couple of the presenter guys a few weeks ago. Actually, I was saying, "Are you guys playing?" They don't know. They're waiting for a new project to come up, maybe with some guys. I don't know. They don't know. So we'll see. I mean, but I know that the turn got it did get a lot of success, and it did get a lot of positive feedback, which is cool.
So when I was watching you on the turn there, right, I saw the Sanderson Farms tournament when you were leading after 2 rounds. What was that experience like?
Yeah, it was nice. Look, I had a bit of year. I had quite a few events in your rookie year where you got to experience that top of that leaderboard and compete. With the best players in the world, and it was a lot of good learning. Saturday, I played great. I played really, really solid from Thursday, Friday. I just didn't make any mistakes and just get the ball in the spots where I needed to get to take advantage. And Saturday, it wasn't any different. It was just, I think we just went at we picked a lot of wrong shots, and I just needed too much luck and too much things to go your way to get that round going. It was, I played with Ben Griffin. He's a really good friend of mine. Benny's awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, he had a great year last year. Honestly, and I mean this all respect with Benny, I felt like I played a lot better than he did on that Saturday, as in when it came to, prettiness, as in, I was hitting a lot more world-class, I felt like some world-class shots, but Benny just managed himself so much better that day, and really, I was gutted for him that he didn't win on Sunday. I mean, Chris, who made that? Bomb? Who was that? That was.
I don't even know who won, to be honest with you.
That was. What's his name? Luke List. Luke List made like a 50-footer on the playoff hole.
That's right.
And I mean, Luke's a great guy too, and it was a lot of really good friends and good people at the top of that leaderboard. But I was really gutted for Benny. I really thought he could have got it done, especially the way he was in control, so in control that week. And I had a chance. I was Byron Nelson last year. I was, I think I was 1 or 2 back going into the weekend. I played with Jason on Saturday. Jason goes and wins. And that was just a clinic of how simple golf is, and how world class Jason Day is on just knowing what he's got to do. That was kind of my first experience at the top of a leaderboard. And it was a hard crowd, because I'm this young Aussie playing with a superstar of Australian. You've got thousands of people, yelling at Jason Day because they don't know who I am. And like I would hit one close or whatever, and that people would be like, they'll react. But it was different to when Jace did something. It was like, that was a really tough one. Like, that was probably the first experience to what it would have been probably equivalent to playing against Tiger, I think, in my honest opinion. But where the crowd is just so rooting for one player.
Interesting.
And a player earns that. Like, that's, I get annoyed when people do turn around and say that they, like, oh, it's not right and all this. No. That player's earned that. People root for this guy because he's earned it. Like,
and he's Jason Day, in respect, is, I'm going to say he's like an adopted American too. Like, he's been there for such a long time. You know what I mean? Like, he's been living in America for a long time, and but you'll get there, mate. They'll come to support. They'll come to support.
He's such a good dude. He's so great. He's so great to play with. Like, Jace is just, like, he's the pinnacle of the gentleman out there. Like, he's just, you walk past him in the locker room, putting green, chipping green, he will give you time. I was I was doing some work on the Wednesday of the players, at the back of the range of the players, and like, Jace was just tidying up, finishing up his little station, what he was working on, getting ready to get after it on Thursday, and and I was just getting there, so, like, it was kind of like, he was either going to go to the range or go home, and I was just about to start my day's work, and we came in that perfect time where Jason and I had a good chat for 20 minutes, half an hour of just talking about what to do, how to get better, like, all these type of things, and he's such a good dude. And then I was lucky enough to be paired and play with Jace at the Byron Nelson on the weekend.
Yeah, cool.
It was really, really cool, but it was a great experience because I learned a lot out of that. Like, this is. That's what the top of the leaderboards. That's the feelings you get there on that stage, and you've got these world class guys always nibbling at those heels. Like, they don't care. Like, Jace doesn't care if I'm from bumfuck Idaho or wherever. Like, his job's to go and beat me, and in the end of the day, my job's to do the same thing. So, just to watch as well how simple. His processes were and how he played the game. It was just nothing amazing. There was nothing. It wasn't like he was standing up there hitting these 20-yard cut 2-irons to a foot or anything. None of that bullshit. It was just hit it here, roll a putt in. If I missed it, go to the next. Hit it 20 feet there. A lot of times he had a wedge 9-iron in his hand, played away from a flag if he had to. Just, like, get to a short hole, took advantage of it, make a birdie on a par 5. It was such a simple process to watch, and he had the easiest, I think, 5 or 6 under. It was like he shot one. I think I shot one over. I played garbage. I couldn't get up. I couldn't get any momentum. I was really just. I was in first gear all day, and I watched a guy just literally in first gear in the same gear shoot 5 under, and it was just like. It was just like, this is cool. Like, this is a guy that really understands his golf game.
What was it like? What's the difference teeing up in, say, the Byron Nelson or the Sanderson Farms, right? When you're teeing up on round 3, late tee off, crowds are there. Is it incredibly different? Because I was watching, the turn last night of that show, and what I think people don't understand is that I saw you with some like 7:30 tee-offs getting up at 4 a.m. Like, it's not as rosy as what it looks, right? And I heard you make the comment, like, it's nice to have a sleep in and get a late time on a Saturday, right? But what's the difference like in between, say, teeing up on the Thursday morning first round 8 o'clock versus teeing up on, say, round 3 leading the tournament?
It's just a different nerve. It's just like, I feel like my nerves are shifted now. Like, my Thursday nerves are more excited. Let's go. Can't wait. Like, I'm going to go do something today. That's kind of, and then, like, I'm trying to learn, like, how to do that on the weekends a bit. But, when you, it's very easy to get sucked into that mindset and that tunnel of just like, oh, don't fuck this up. Like, anyone would be the biggest bullshitter liar ever if they said they'd never ever felt that. Like, it's just how it is. Like, it's because you care. We're playing for a lot of money. We got a lot on the line. I've got bills to pay. I've got I've got coaches payments. I've got caddy payments. I've got credit card payments. And you've got all these little things, and you're in a position where your life can change like that, and you don't want to mess that up. And like, that's the feeling. But the more you fail, and the more, that's the thing. I failed quite a bit last year in those positions. Like, I'm not dead. Like, it wasn't. It's just, now to me, I would be less. I wouldn't say scared, but I'd be more like, let's go attitude into that now, versus like the don't fuck it up side.
Mate, you don't even have to justify yourself, because I talk about, what we're talking about before is that professional golfers have the same problems and the same thinking as a recreational golfer. There's just more on the line. And for a recreational golfer, right, say they're beating their handicap, or let's say a young fella going under par for the first time, right? I generally say that young fella has been under par. When he shoots under par, he's been under par 5 to 6 times beforehand, but he just hasn't got it done. He just hasn't finished. He's got to the 16th. He's 3 under. His knees are shaking. Doesn't know what to do. And he's learned how to keep putting himself in that situation. And the same thing goes for guys out on the PGA Tour in that scenario before. It's a new situation, and learning on how to deal with this situation, because there's very few Jordan Spieths. There's very few people who come out, hold a bunker shot to win their first tournament. Guys get there, they feel it, they smell it, they identify it, and then they just keep learning about it. And I don't think it's anything to be ashamed about not winning those 2 tournaments, but at all.
It's definitely, you can never be. The one thing I've learned is you can never be ashamed of defeat. Defeat's the greatest ally we got. Yeah. Like, it's
interesting.
I remember my first time I shot under par. Yes. I was 5 under playing the last at Avondale, and all the juniors are like, I'm like 13 or 12 or something, 13 or 14, I think, around there. I shouldn't say 12, it's a bit young. I was either 13 or 14, around there.
Yeah.
And actually I was 14, because how I know this is I was 14. I was 5 under playing the last, and all the juniors are coming out, and like, I haven't made a bogey. I'm just playing unbelievable. I'm playing with my coach and all this type of stuff, and I made triple up the last. Just the old steery golf swing, and I was like, "You kidding me?"
Would you miss it left coming into the par 4, into the left there, like behind the bunker or something?
Yeah. So I think I hit the fairway. And then I dumped it left of the green up on 18, and
that's dead.
It's the green's away from you. You got grain growing back into you. You got old Harrow there going steeping down on it, trying, and and I'm just like mortified. Like, I mean, geez, the way to crush a kid's dreams. Thanks, golf. That's life.
Yeah.
I mean,
2 under, good score,
but that's the thing. Like, you didn't play bad that day and all this type of stuff. So then anyway, we get to. But the following year, I qualified for my first professional tournament as a 15-year-old. So, like, that's where, like, sometimes failures are your biggest allies. Like, sometimes you just, you need to make those mistakes. Like, the next time, I was comfortably getting in those 5 unders, 4 unders, 6 unders at Avondale, coming up the last. I've messed up there before. I know what I got to do. I'm going to hit that little butter cut, and if it goes in the right bunker, at least I know I can get it up and down from there. And if not, and I make bogey, I'll live and fight another day. It's just that's just the nature and the reality of. It's the nature and the reality of the sport we're in. Golf is just such a. It literally is the exact replica of what life is. Like, it could be just going so good, and everything is just like bells and whistles. You got that nice rainbow over your head. You're fucking going, how good, and then it punches you in the guts, and it's out of your control. It's just out of your control, and you can. you either do two things. You either sulk about it and, or you work your ass off and go figure it out. And like, I wish that, I wish schools teach that more. Like it took me and when you move countries and you come over and you're fending for yourself and you're trying to earn every dollar you can and all this type of stuff. I didn't understand what the big wide world and what life really was until I did that. Until I really got out there and did it. And that's my one thing, my pet peeve with high schools, and like, prepare your kids for that shit.
Yeah.
Don't stop.
Yeah. And you know what though, Harrison, as well, is that when you talk about, life is like that, right? Lots of failures and you get the few wins now and then. And it's so true, but it's also to the fact as well, like I'll share about, you'll also understand how you are mentally on how you deal with failure. It's easy to say you got a good mental game when things are going well. Yeah. Like mentally I'm so well, life's good.
Everyone's mentally good when it's going good.
Yeah, and then like for me, it's like, for me, we've had some sickness with the kids, like nothing crazy, right? But some health stuff, and I haven't been able to sleep at all. I had fuck all sleep last night. I was driving my kids around last night. I was driving my youngest at 2 a.m. around the streets trying to get him to sleep, right? And you want to know how mentally you're going, and that's when you test yourself in those situations of how mentally strong you are. Not when life's cruisy, you've won the lotto and you've just shot 62. Like, anyone's mentally good in that situation, right?
100%. Like, you dealt with some challenges. You're now dealing with a challenge that your perspective and your selfishness has completely gone out the window. There's one priority, and that is your little one. It's like nothing else matters but fixing the problem. And and that's where I stayed with I stayed with Camilo Villegas in Cabo, and I stayed with Camilo. Then he finished second that week, and then goes and wins the following week. And Camilo's awesome, and like listening to the challenges and the cruelty life has thrown at this guy. For how nice of a guy he is and how great his family is just not right. Like, it's not... he is one of the most kindest, humblest athletes I've ever heard. And for him to deal... And him and his wife and his little one now, to deal with what they dealt with, no, it's not fair. But, like... His attitude is just, we can't change it. We can only move forward and get better as we go, and he talked a lot about how his priorities shifted away from the game during these tough times, which is totally understandable. I mean, like, one day I'm going to have kids, and it's going to be the same thing. Like, I see Webb Simpson's a good friend of mine, and Webb's got he's got a whole kindergarten.
He's got a clan.
Same as Bads and all these guys, and you look at how, like, it's amazing. Like, I've been around Bads and and had dinners and stuff, and he'll get a message that his little one is sick or not feeling good, and it's something goes off in their mind. Like, I've got to. Like, I'm there for my little one. I'm not there, but I've got to be there. You know what I mean? It's a different, it's a different thing that I'm yet to experience, and I'm looking forward to it. I really can't wait for that day. But like, going back, like you said, like, it's with challenges and hurdles and stuff like that. Like, your priority is your little one, and I'm glad to hear that he's feeling a whole lot better and stuff like that too.
Oh, he's a bit better. It's a bit better. It's fuck. My kids have been trouble. What it does, Harrison, it puts things into perspective, right? Where
100%.
Like back in the day when I was, had the opportunity to travel the world a lot, and had the opportunity to jump whenever I wanted to go overseas, and you might complain that they accidentally put oat milk in instead of almond milk into your cup of coffee, but now you realise that just fucking doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. Like, it just doesn't matter.
There's a lot of things that just don't matter, and that's been the journey. That's the journey of a lot of learning on my behalf. You've had to piss off some people. You've had to piss off the right people to learn some of those lessons, which is all part of it,
And I've got one more thing for you, right? Is my sponsors. One of the sponsors of the podcast is Back to Basics. So Back to Basics putting mirrors designed by Grant Field.
Oh, yeah. I've got one of those.
Yes, you got one, have you? Got the Back to Basics putting mirror. That's fantastic. So it's got the 15-degree arc on it. So in the Back to Basics putting segment, have you got something for us that you can share with us in regards to potentially how you use the mirror and what exercises or putting drills do you have that you use?
So obviously the biggest thing for mirrors is checking shoulder and eye alignment. That's your first key. So for me, I've always struggled with alignment with my putting. Like, it's just every time I putt shit, that's where I always go to. I'm always, putter face is shut and aiming a little left of where I think I'm aiming. So the mirror for me has always been that tool for me. I get on the mirror, making sure what square is. What happens with me sometimes, I get a little outside the line on the way back with the putter. It's just something I've always done as a kid. So to be honest with you, what I do on that mirror is I use every single one of those fucking holes in there as tees. So like,
really,
I deck the whole thing out. Like I talked earlier today on this podcast about being simple. You look at my mirror and that is far from simple. But it's just, but honestly, it really is. It's if I can. Like, when I'm on that mirror and I'm missing every single tee, I know I'm stroking it good, and that's it. And then I go and do my holing drills and get my reps up. But like that mirror is great. And what was it was awesome for me because it's got that arch.
Yeah.
Because I'd go outside a little bit. It's the same kind of. I got the same crap with my swing and stuff like that, but because except on the way I'm on that on the way down. But with the arc, I'll go a little out to the outside, and I'll be like, when I see where that line is, it's like, man, that feels like I'm whipping it really hard in the inside, and I'll just keep putting until I miss the tees. I remember Pato got me that Back to Basics putting mirror at the Australian Open at Kingston Heath and. Where was it? Kingston Heath and Victoria, and it was hilarious. We got back to the hotel after I was putting terrible, and I made the first cut, but I mean, it was probably one of the worst. Whoever's idea was it to make a double cut that week are fucking kidding themselves, right? That was horrendous. And anyway, so I make the first cut and miss the second cut. So we make the first cut, we go back to the room, and I was, I just could not hole a freaking putt. And so we got back and we got the tees out, and I was hitting nearly every tee on the way through. I was just going bink, 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 and it was, and like I literally had to feel like I was like putting like this, like whipping it so far on the inside because I was so outside the line, and But that's been my mirror. That's been my mirror ever since. I mean, you see how good Cam Smith putts. I mean,
he's the man.
He's doing good with that. So I had to get on that wagon.
Oh, I'm glad, mate. Well, the Back to Basics putting sponsors will be absolutely pleased that you've got one of those in the bag. So if you want to, it brings us to the end of the Back to Basics putting segment there. Harrison talking about how he uses the mirror with the tees, which is a fantastic way. It's got holes in it. You can put the tees upside down if you're indoors. You can put the tees in through the mirror as well when you're on the putting green. Helps it kind of stay stable as well at the same time. If you want to get one of those, discount code is below TM15. Get you 15% off the discount off the mirror itself. Support those who support the Golf Coach podcast. Mate, Harrison, it's been so good. You've been so good with your time. I know it's dinner time there.
I appreciate it.
And I like it. You're a deep thinker. I think you've just earned, a lot of new followers and people kind of supporting you on this, and I think a lot of people are going to be really kind of rooting for you and watching you closer this season, the PGA Tour. Now that you got really good status, man, it's been really cool. It's been really cool to meet you and connect. And my friend Jono Painter, who you probably know,
Jono.
Jono. Well, he came on the podcast. Well, I was a member at Longreef Golf Club years ago.
Yeah.
And Jono said you got to get Harrison on. He's a deep thinker. So
cool.
Awesome. Mate, it was really cool having you on.
Thank you so much, Toby, and tell all the guys I said to say hi, and all the guys that you run into. It's it's a small world, golf, but at the same time we're a long way away, and so looking forward to catching up with all you guys, and definitely come down and compete. So love to come down and compete this year. So that's definitely on the books right now, as if with the scheduling and stuff like that.
Oh, sounds good, mate. I would love to have you down here and love to come watch you, and all the Australians will love to come follow you around. You'll be a superstar, mate. You'll be the Jason Day of the Australian Open by then, mate.
We'll see. So thank you so much, Toby. I appreciate it.